What's up guys, SpartanCat, and in today's BattleCats video, I'm bringing back an old series that you guys enjoyed, Overrated versus Underrated. I have 3 tiers that go from overrated down to underrated, and I have 8 cats that will go in all 3 of these tiers. If you want to find out what happens, stay tuned, you're not going to want to miss it. Starting things off, Choreo Cat, and I love Choreo Cat personally. When I didn't have him, I didn't realize what I was missing because he is so versatile. You could use him in a multitude of situations, and he's very powerful in terms of just being a great generalist, even better against red enemies and whatnot, but he is bread and butter in so many different situations. His piercing range is incredibly important for him to be able to land giant area attack shots, and he doesn't have that big of a blind spot. In addition, he's cheap, and he's able to rush to your front lines pretty safely with his range, and all in all, he is just a great unit. Despite a lot of people putting him on a pedestal, I think he deserves to be there, and so I'm going to put him fairly rated to start our tier list off. And so next is going to be Gato Amigo, and I'm also going to put him in fairly rated. I think he's a very, very powerful anti-surge meat shield, and he's been very important in those situations, but even before you get his talents and you're in early to mid game, he's a useful meat shield for the earlier part of the game, but also in stages like 4-star restrictions and whatnot, he's very useful. So I do like Gato Amigo. Even before his true form, he's just an OG, and it's hard not to like him. Our first underrated of the day is going to be Shishiland Pasaland, and I'm putting him in underrated because of the amount of backlash, including from people like myself recently, that he's gotten some things from. And the reason why he hasn't been regarded as highly as he used to be in the past is due to his lack of abilities and immunities. Although he can deal a ton of damage from a safe amount of range, and he's able to reposition himself, the further you get into the game, the more his kit's not going to be as powerful. But all of this disregards the significance that he can have for many players that are starting out, and even in Stories of Legend and some parts of Uncanny Legends. He is able to become a powerful backliner that works better than Crazed Bahamut Cat in the way that he can survive relatively strong attacks, nothing super powerful, but he can survive a lot of different enemies in terms of what they do. But the further in the game you get, the more that those knockbacks aren't going to help him, and it's just going to juggle him. And also, the less those knockbacks are going to matter because he's not going to get knocked back 100 times before he dies. But in early game, he is very powerful, and he hasn't gotten worse. It's hard for people to think of that, just because in BattleCats people don't get nerfed, but the units just get replaced by better ones, or they get buffed. So I think Shishiland is due for some immunities if he ever gets an Ultra form, and I would just love to see that. He can get some immune to Curse and immune to Surge and immune to Waves, and all that stuff would add up very well for him. And some basic stat boosts would make him that much better. But he is a solid unit, and I don't want to see people take dumps on him. I see people putting him in the DNC tiers on lists, but I'm personally not ready to put him under a B. Next is going to be Super Feline, and he will be the first overrated unit on this list. Super Feline is incredibly powerful if you have him, and he has a ton of DPS. He has on-me damage, so he's very difficult for him to miss, but at the same time, he deals a blistering amount of area damage. So, incredibly powerful unit, kind of like an ID, but the drawback is how long it takes for you to get him. You have to get him all the way to level 100, and that is not easy because you don't even unlock him until far after all the other guys you have. So, by the time you're chilling in mid-game, you can finally unlock Super Feline, let alone have to get him up to 100 levels through the Cat Capsule. But once you do, he is quite powerful. I do have him as overrated because although he is incredibly strong, I'm in late game and I still do not have him. And I can only imagine how many people like me there are in the BattleCats community where you have all of these other fantastic units, and by the time you get him, although he's great, he's only one of 5 or 10 instead of being one of 1. And it's just the fact that you have to get him at the end of the game. And I know he's very great for Zero Legends once I get further into that, but it's going to be a very long investment, and I've already poured a ton of talents and evolutions into a whole array of alternatives. So once I get him, he's going to have to compete with all those other units I have. And although he's going to outperform a lot of them, it's a very, very, very long waiting process that 99% of people will never reach. Next is Mancha Legs, and I'm going to put him at fairly rated. I just did a poll on him and stuff, and people do seem to like him still. I'm just going to put him at fairly rated because although he does lose some of his power in late game, especially to his manic counterpart that produces waves and stuff like that, he is still definitely a unit that holds his own throughout early and middle game. He's able to attack aliens very well from a safe distance, and even in general settings, he's a pretty cheap, spammable, stackable source of DPS. So I do like him. Sometimes I even like him better than Harris Cat. He just finds a better way to survive. I don't know why, but he just always seems to be on the field. But I'm going to put him at fairly rated. He's pretty non-controversial. A good unit, not a great unit, and he has definitely served the role through a lot of people's accounts. Next is going to be Jelly Dumpling Cat, and it's really hard for me to put him anywhere but fairly rated, and I'm just so happy to see him get that true form, because the extra wave and the extra range, it really is going to make the difference between him being great and elite, and that's exactly what it did. Because now he's able to safely get off more shots, and those shots are even more deadly thanks to the extra area that they cover. So by him getting that true form, it does take him from being very, very good to phenomenal. And I love him, and I haven't met anybody that doesn't like him, or at least hasn't been open about not liking him. I will find you if you don't like Jelly Dumpling Cat, because he's amazing. There's just, it's very hard for me to not like him. My only gripe with him is that he's slow, and sometimes he does get killed before he can get a shot off, but it's just more about timing and using him in the right situations, and he'll almost always do you well if you send him out at the right time. It's just about knowing when. Next is going to be Asaluga, and contrary to the name, he is actually quite good, and that's why I'm going to put him in underrated. The reason why is because he is, in disguise, basically Cyberpunk 2.0, and not everybody thinks to evolve him because the Nikalugas don't necessarily have a great rep. But if you true form and talent him, he is about as good as Cyberpunk Cat, and having 2 of each on the field is so much better than having 2 of 1 on the field. And I was able to learn this the hard way because I kept failing on 450 Infernal Tower, as some of you guys know, and he was the difference. Bring him in with Baluga, Cyberpunk, and Sniper, along with some of my anti-relics and stuff, really did make the difference. Just having that extra layer of security, along with the Sniper spell, the Sniper ability. Every bit of pushback was necessary, and Asaluga was a part of that, so he'll always have a part in my heart for that. But in other settings, he might not always be the best option you have, but he's still viable with the amount of range he has. The fact that he doesn't have a blind spot's really cool, and all in all, his standing range keeps him safe in most situations. So definitely a unit I would recommend. He is, to me, a Cyberpunk without a blind spot. Although I do prefer Cyberpunk in a lot of situations, just because he's able to hold some ground a little better, to me. But I do like both of them a lot. And last but not least is going to be Filibuster. And I'm going to have to put him in underrated. Even though a lot of people have heard about his recent talents and have gotten them, I just want to remind you guys again that against multiple traits, traitless and relic, he has about 20,000 approximate DPS against them, effective with those 2 traits. And from 575 range that has on me, that is a ton. And we're looking at his base stats even, and those are better than Crazy Bahamut Cat's in a lot of ways. But what you do have to look out for is his incredibly long attack animation, his slow speed, and the fact that he still only has 1 knockback. So he's not flawless, but he does have some very powerful stats now, and he can definitely be useful in a lot of situations. He's also immune to Curse, Surge, and he can also freeze, Trailers, and stuff like that. So he is definitely going to become a pretty strong unit now that he can freeze different traits and have immunities. So that will help his survivability and his value. And all in all, just getting him all of that extra stat stuff, along with giving him some more niche than just sitting back there and dying, he is going to become better than he was. Maybe even like a B tier unit. We don't know yet because we need to see this in the long term, but I'm excited to see Filibuster no longer becoming the worst unit in the game behind maybe Cheetah Cat. This is my list on overrated, fairly rated, and underrated. If you guys made it this far, you guys are definitely underrated if you did that. Thank you very much. But please make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications if you found this video helpful, entertaining, fun, whatever it may be. And please make sure to leave your thoughts down below in the comment section. SpawnCat signing off, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.